Everybody, Dr. Rob Silverman here. I'm with luminary Mr. Jonathan Marx, a gentleman who's going to share some real insights on healthcare and healthcare marketing in the media genre. Let me give you a concise bio. Mr. Marx has, without question, an extensive background in success. He's worked for the CDC. He's an MBA. He's an entrepreneur in health and medical education since 2001. He's the founder president of Go-To Health Media. He hosts a multimedia interview show with health experts called Go-To Health, which is enjoying 14,000 downloads per day and has surpassed 3 million downloads. I was fortunate enough to be on your podcast. Jonathan, how are you today?
Wonderful. Rob, thanks for having me. It's really good to be here.
I'm happy you're here. What's the driver? I mean, what put you on the map?
What put me on the map? Well, I'll first say that my mother wanted me to be a doctor, and I never really fulfilled that.
Uh-oh.
But,
Uh-oh.
but I have a previous to what I'm doing now, which is a 25-year experience. I had another 25-year history in working in multimedia companies, first in cable television, then in the yellow pages, and then in high-speed internet.
Mm.
And what I decided to do after I got out of all that and got out of corporate life was to really focus those different media on healthcare and medicine, because I really felt it was important to get the word out about evidence-based medicine. And that's been my mantra for the past 25 years, is to really help folks like yourself, other healthcare practitioners, nonprofit organizations, healthcare companies get their word out in multimedia.
What is wrong with the healthcare system now?
Oy.
I is a
Well,
great way to start.
that's too huge. I mean, one of the things that really concerns me is the move away from evidence. I mean, we're just seeing so many claims from the current administration that have no evidence basis behind them. I mean, the most recent thing that Bobby Kennedy was talking about was circumcision and Alzheimer, not Alzheimer's, circumcision and autism, and it's just crazy. There's just no evidence behind it. What really has been the gold standard in the United States, and which has been the gold standard worldwide, is what's called evidence-based medicine. And I'm happy to talk more about that if you like, but it really is making, having medical practices that are based on evidence, not rumor, not individual experiences, but really evidence from a large number of people. And I'm happy to talk more about that if that's of interest.
Oh my goodness, is that of interest? Because as a chiropractor, to seek out evidence-based, it was a epiphany for me. So let's define evidence-based. Let's.
Sure. Good, good, good. So let's talk about, I think the place where things start is what are called clinical trials, which is before something is approved as a procedure or as a prescription or as a drug, it goes through clinical trials. And there's a three-stage process for that. One, the first, which is stage A, or the first stage, is really to find out whether something is safe. Is it harming people or is it helping people? And it's just done on a small number of people to show, is it safe or harmful, and what are the side effects? Then it goes to, once it's proven to be safe, then it goes through a second phase, which is trying it on a larger group of people to see what side effects there are, and again, are there any safety issues that are coming up? And then the third phase is really trying it on a large group of people, so that you get a sense for, hey, does this have differences based on gender, based on race, based on ethnicity? Does this work in large populations? And it's after the drugs or procedures go through that kind of phases of trials, is it approved by the Food and Drug Administration to be administered to the public because it's been proven to be safe. Now, the new thing that's happening, and I'll just bring this up now, is AI. And AI is contributing tremendously to basically developing bases of evidence. What AI can do, as we put information together from lots of different patients with lots of different procedures, is put together huge databases of what people are going through and experiencing and showing what results are. So we're not moving away from clinical trials, but AI is adding to this by showing, evidence from large databases of people who are going through different procedures and different drugs.
So evidence-based clinical trials to AI,
Yep.
which I do like in research. I do utilize it. It's not so great for grammar, but it's fabulous for research. What is a proper sample size in a clinical trial for as a starting point for evidence-based?
Well, when we first start out, just doing the first phase, it's usually done with 50 to 100 people. And when you get over 50 people, at least in statistics, what I learned in school, when you get an N or a number over 50, you can start making conclusions because your trial base is big enough. But when we get into the second and third phases of trials, especially the third phase, this will be done with thousands of people. Again, really of different ethnicities, different races, various genders, so that we can really show that what we're proposing here works for all people.
So where do you think alternative healthcare fits into that?
I'm glad you asked that because I've done a lot of research on this. One of the alternative healthcare. Let's talk about alternative healthcare for a little bit. I really think of alternative healthcare as traditional medicine.
Correct.
It's medicine that's been traditional, it's been around for centuries,
You're here.
right? And there's been a tremendous amount of healthcare that's been done under traditional medicine or what's called alternative. It's really alternative versus conventional medicine, and conventional medicine is Western based here in the United States, but alternative has become very popular in the last 40 years, where many people were not really served well by the conventional medical establishment and moved to alternatives. So it could be
Mm.
acupuncture, chiropractic, herbs. And one of the challenges is that clinical trials are usually done by pharmaceutical companies
Right.
to get their medicine approved. And the only reason it's worth doing that is so that they can make money on the drug. Well, the issue is what money is there to be made on an herbal medicine? Or what money is there to practice or acupuncture? So while we don't have the typical clinical trials that are done in alternative medicine, we do have a history of hundreds of years of experience of what's worked, let's say, in chiropractic or in acupuncture or in herbal medicine. It's just that we don't have funded trials. Now, the CAM, which is the complementary and alternative medicine part of the US government, has done trials and has supported the development of alternative medicine. But again, this has been government funded, not private funded. And I'm not sure what's happening with that funding these days in this administration.
So is it fair to say that it may disturb you that the pharmaceutical companies do fund many studies? Do you feel that, if I could play devil's advocate now,
Go ahead.
that those outcomes are jaded because of who funds them? Because that's the number one complaint that we get.
Yeah. You know, you could, it's jaded to me. I trust the clinical trial process, even if
Great.
it's funded by pharmaceutical companies. I trust the clinical trial process
Excellent.
because it's based on evidence. And it's not about who's funding it, it's based on evidence. Now, I will say, there are lots of studies that are done by pharmaceutical companies that don't meet the rigor of clinical trials. And you could say those are biased.
Okay, the nice difference point. I love it.
Yeah.
And last, and we'll tie this up with a nice tight bow and we'll move on. Do you feel that the evidence-based has to be published? And when I say published, peer reviewed.
Things have more credibility when they're peer reviewed. In other words, peer review is other experts who are taking a look at your study to see is it meeting the evidence-based criteria. So the fact that there are other experts that are reviewing this and saying, yeah, this is, I'll say, kosher, um, you know, it helps. But I will say also that I've done a lot of training with the CDC, and I've done many training webinars in healthcare. I have heard that peer review is not perfect. There can be biases in peer review as well.
Sure.
So you just have to really take a look at the rigor of the evidence to see if it's really out there.
I agree. I think everybody should look at it. I think they shouldn't look at the title. I think they should look at the sample size, look at what was done, analyze the conclusion. But if we don't do studies and we don't do science, we're lost.
Yeah. And I will say, all this kerfuffle, I will say, over autism was based upon quote unquote studies that were done by somebody in England that made these connections between autism and other health conditions. And it was found that, upon review of these studies, that they were not scientifically done. The database was not clean, and it's been refuted now for like 20 years. And unfortunately, the rumors still abound. But again, this whole process is not perfect, but we try to keep to that gold standard of evidence basis.
Agreed. I mean, somebody says something negative, it seems to have legs and a little bit of a stickiness, and that's unfortunate in our mantra.
Yes.
But what I want to know is I'm going to turn a page, I'm going to revert back to you.
Okay.
What did you do before you became a healthcare marketer?
So I had like a 25-year career, as I mentioned at the beginning, in different media. So in cable television, in the Yellow Pages, and then I was the president of one of the first four high-speed internet access companies, what
Mhm.
you now know as a cable modem and high speed.
Wow.
I was president of one of the first four companies that did that. I was also the vice president of strategy for the Pacific Bell Yellow Pages. So I was in Yellow Pages advertising, and I had a previous career, as I said, in cable television. And what that all taught me was basically the importance of multiple media. And I applied that to adult learning, um, which is I've done a lot of study about how adults learn. And it's adult learning is a little bit different from kids. We'll keep kids out of this for the moment. But it's fascinating how adults learn. We make the mistake, and particularly in healthcare as practitioners. I'm not a healthcare practitioner, but I will say that we make a mistake when we tell somebody something once and expect them to remember it and do it, or expect them to bring it into their lives. The fact is, and we know this even from marketing and sales, a lot of times before a buyer buys something, they typically have to have 7 exposures. That's kind of proven. They need 7 exposures to something before they
Wow.
actually buy. Well, this is true in the way we intake health information and change our lives. If a doctor tells us something once, we don't just make the change. Why? Because we go back to our lives and our lives are busy and focused on what we're doing, but we need to hear the information more than once. And what I learned in these studies is there's something called the VARK learning method, which is we learn in different ways. There are people who learn by listening, there are people who are learned by seeing, and there are people who learn by what's called read write, which is this is me. I'm a very active note taker. When I'm learning something, I'm not just listening, I'm writing it down because writing it down helps me retain.
Right.
So what this taught me was something that has become my mantra, which is if you want somebody to learn something, it's multiple media, multiple times. So you can't just say it once, you have to say it many times. And if you can say it in different media, because of people's different learning styles, it helps them learn better because some people learn by listening, some people learn by seeing, some people, as I said before, learn by writing, some people learn by doing. So, what we want to do is present information, the same information, multiple times in different media. And that's what's so powerful about video because people can listen to us, people can watch us, but even better, if you provide the script to what we're talking about, people can read it if they want to. And
Outstanding.
Go ahead.
No, 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 no. I'm just commenting. It's outstanding. And doctors should really take solace in what you're saying because, lecturing around the world, people complain they're not listening to me. And you're just saying, yeah, you told them once, you need to tell them 7 times. Even if they're
Yeah.
an MIT PhD, they're still
Yes.
human. They need it 7 times, multiple times, multiple media. So that
Yes.
shows when you explain it, it's not good enough just to show them it. You've got to have them lecture, and you want to add a little noise to it, if you will, but maybe have them also touch it.
Right. What this has been shown again in studies when people are exposed for something for the first time, your knowledge is way up here because you've been at whatever you're talking about for a long time.
Mm.
When you present your information the first time, their knowledge goes from, let's say, zero to up where you are because they're intelligent, they're listening, they're understanding, you're doing a great job explaining. But what happens is they go back to their lives and their lives are busy and their recollection of the information falls back down, not to zero, but let's say to 10. Okay. And then when you tell them again, they say, oh, I've heard this before. This sounds familiar. Okay, I'm going to remember this now. And it goes up a little bit more. On the third exposure, they start putting ideas together. They're saying, oh my God, Dr. Rubb said this. And gosh, you know what? I went home and I did that exercise and I'm feeling better. So now what else did he say? And so what happens is with the more exposures, the knowledge and the understanding and the information and the inclusion in their lives goes up.
So the doctor of today is a doctor that needs to utilize multiple medias and without question needs to be able to expound in a clear voice.
Yes. And don't be afraid of repetition. Repetition's good.
So, a friend of mine said recently, he said the doctor of the future is the patient because they're going to seek out so many different venues in which to learn that information, that input is coming from multimedias, like you said. So my
Yeah.
question is, you've got Go To Health Media, and I was on your podcast, which is great. Go To
Yep.
Health. What are your goals and dreams for your current company? Because, you've had a fabulous career. No one's
Thank
saying
you.
to slow down. I know you're not going to slow down. I'm not slowing down, so watch out. Don't look behind you. I may be catching because I'm still running hard. But what are your
Yes.
goals and dreams?
So I have my own show. It's having great success, as you outlined. We've just hit 3 million downloads, and I'm soon to go on WNEW HD in New York, which will be reaching, I understand, 95 million cars and 16 million households. And what I want to do is not only spread the word for people in my own show, but I also want to bring on other shows with me so that I can help other shows, other providers, other nonprofit organizations, other companies get the kind of media distribution that I'm enjoying now and will be enjoying in the future. And so I want to bring other people along. I don't want to be the only speaker. And, I kind of want to multiply this. So that's my dream is to really turn Go to Health Media into a larger organization, which can really be known for bringing evidence-based health professionals, nonprofit organizations, companies, and getting them wide distribution through multiple media. That's my dream.
Outstanding. I love it. Let me jump in that boat with you. I hope it's a motorboat, but if not, I'll pick up an oar and I'll start canoeing. I promise.
Good, good, good. That'd be
So,
great.
my real question is, what does the future look for healthcare? And we talked about AI, but what does it look for healthcare? Where do people go to find something or somebody that they trust? Because that's the biggest thing. I mean, let's just cut to the chase. Who do I trust? What do I trust? Who's telling me the truth and who's full of poop?
I would say, I hate to say this, but social media has exacerbated the rumors in healthcare. It's just really it's very sad. Um, I think you need to make sure that you're looking at evidence. Your health practitioner, your healthcare provider. Now, who your healthcare provider is up to you. If you and you know what you can do is have a primary health care provider, a doctor, or an MD or a chiropractor, whatever. You can choose, but I think it's good to have multiple different providers. So I see a doctor, I see a chiropractor, I see an acupuncturist. I have worked with herbalists before, and it's really bringing that information together. And, some people say, well, who do I trust? It's really up to me. You know, who do I trust? And there's not one answer, and there's not one healthcare provider that's going to do everything for you. I think it's really good to have a variety and really kind of knit together things that you trust, relationships you trust and information you trust, and really to see what's helping you. Is this helping you?
So you like that integrated model where
Yes.
options within the integration.
Yes, I ran for 6 years. I ran an integrative health network called Starfish Health Partners. And I chose the name Starfish because in lore, a starfish with its 5 arms integrates information from different directions. So I ran that for about 6 years in the Bay Area, and it ended in 2008 with the downturn. But it was a great interconnection of healthcare providers, both doctors, acupuncturists, chiropractors, herbalists, who work together with patients. I had a great time doing that.
You and I are in agreement. I concur with you, if you will. I believe in the integrated approach. Kind of why I did my podcast, Proven Health Alternative. It is what it is. I am a chiropractor. We have about 25% of the guests are chiropractic. We have all different kinds of guests. Now, I'm going to hire you. My friend's a medical doctor, and he's perturbed because their approval ranking has gone down from 71 to 40%. It's dropped over the last 4 years, 31.4%. I'm not picking on them. I'm asking you to resuscitate people's favorability with them. What do they need to do?
Now, what's the reason for the favorite? What ranking went down? Just so I understand.
So, medical doctors used to be rated at a 71.4% favorability. Over the last 4 years, they've dropped down to about 40%. They've dropped about 31%. 3 in 10 people now view them unfavorably. Obviously, that was COVID and the vaccine. But what would you do to reclaim their position in being favorable? Remember, I'm not a medical doctor, but all my friends are medical doctors.
This is what I do. I think what we need to do is get information out. That's who I am. That's what I do.
Yeah. You
And
disseminate.
and what I'm helping people do, and I do about 3 or 4 shows a week with various different healthcare providers who are giving information. And what I really do, I think I'm a very good interviewer in people not only saying what they're saying, but why are they saying it? What's the evidence behind what they're saying? What data do we have to show this? So, for example, I just did a show on why seniors should get vaccinated in the fall. And a doctor, it couldn't have been more powerful. I said, doctor, he's an emergent. He basically works in the emergency rooms. And I said, doctor, if somebody's not vaccinated and they get a respiratory virus, tell me, what's it like? Okay, so you don't want to get vaccinated. What's it like? And he sees people on ventilators because they didn't get a silly, stupid little vaccine. They're on ventilators. And their families are coming in seeing their family member on ventilators. The family members get PTSD. I mean, this is real world experience. You want to have a debate against about getting vaccinated or not? This is what happens if you don't get vaccinated, if you're a senior citizen and you get RSV or you get COVID or you get, the flu and you're not vaccinated. And what he made a very important point, the vaccines don't prevent you from getting the disease, but the vaccines are like a seatbelt or a bike helmet. They don't keep you from getting in accidents, but if you do get in an accident, they merely minimize the damage. And so, what a vaccine, the biggest complaint I'm hearing about vaccines these days is, oh, I got the vaccine and then I got sick. The vaccine doesn't prevent you from getting sick. What it does is prevent the really bad outcomes that you can have if you don't get vaccinated. I think it's getting that kind of information out to people, and that's really what I my love and my job is to really get information out to people so that they can make their own choices.
Having lived through that period with you, of course, I agree. I think that at the very least, there were things that were mismessaged. And, being a chiropractor where I have to explain every day what I do and how I differ myself from the competition really gathers me to think about the need to change how I speak and deliver evidence-based data, as you would say. That said,
Yes,
again, what last message would you like to leave us with today?
thank you for asking that. In this time of, I think, ever increasing uncertainty about medicine itself and medical practice, stick with the evidence. There's just too much out there in social media, unfortunately, from our administration, our presidential administration, where evidence is really being minimized. And we're starting to have healthcare based on rumors. Stick with the evidence, look at the studies, do some of your research. Listen to your healthcare provider. Your healthcare provider cares about your health. That's their job. Don't get caught up in what you're reading on social media. Really stick with the evidence. And if somebody says something, makes a claim, check it out. What does the evidence say? There's plenty of evidence on the internet that you can find. Stick with that evidence and follow the recommendations of health providers you trust.
And go to health to get it like it is.
Yes.
Got it. And come to proven health alternatives to get it like it should be. How does
Good.
that sound? That'll be our little center point, our center.
Yes. Yes.
Outstanding. Jonathan, this has been great. Thanks so much for taking some time to share with me and share with my followers. I greatly appreciate it.
Good, Rob. It's been a pleasure to be on the show. It was a pleasure to have you on my show,
That was
getting
fun.
evidence-based out. And thanks so much for allowing me to come on to talk to your audience today.
We'll see you soon. Jonathan Marx, Rob Silverman, Proven Health Alternatives.